Commander Vextar walked into the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. His blue skin showed many scars from recent battles. Each mark told a story of fighting against the Dominion forces at the edge of known space. Today he brought news that worried him deeply. The hall was huge, with seats for representatives from 17 different alien worlds. Each species looked different. Some had fur, others had scales, and a few glowed with their own light. They all turned to watch as Vextar approached the center platform. "Honored council members," Vextar began, his voice echoing in the large room. "I come before you with urgent news about a new species we discovered. They call themselves humans, and they live on a planet called Earth." Counselor Zephyra from the Trade Federation laughed. She was tall and thin, with silver skin that sparkled under the lights. "Commander, we have studied this species already. They barely know how to travel between stars. Their weapons are simple metal and explosive devices. Why should we worry about such primitive beings?" Vextar's mandibles clicked together, a sign he was frustrated. He had seen something during his last mission that still gave him nightmares. "Please let me show you what I witnessed." A large screen appeared in the air above them. The video showed a battle on a distant moon. Vextar had been leading a small team to gather information when they came across human soldiers fighting against Dominion forces. "Watch carefully," Vextar said as the video played. "See how they move." The council members watched with mild interest. They saw human soldiers wearing simple armor, carrying basic weapons. The humans were outnumbered 2-to-1 by Dominion warriors, who were known throughout the galaxy for their fighting skills. "I see nothing unusual," said Counselor Bracketh from the Mining Guild. His rock-like skin made grinding sounds as he shifted in his seat. "They fight like any other species would fight." But Vextar knew they were not seeing what he saw. "Look closer. Watch the soldier on the left, the one they call Sergeant Kim." In the video, a human soldier had been shot in the shoulder. Any normal species would retreat or call for medical help. Instead, the human switched his weapon to his other hand and kept fighting. Blood ran down his arm, but he did not slow down. "Remarkable pain tolerance," admitted Counselor Yathara from the Science Division. Her large eyes blinked slowly as she studied the video. "But many species can fight through injury." "Keep watching," Vextar insisted. The video showed the battle continuing. The humans were losing badly. Half their number were dead or wounded. By all military logic, they should surrender or retreat. Instead, something strange happened. The human leader, Captain Lee, started giving orders. The remaining soldiers began moving in ways that made no sense to standard military thinking. They split into small groups. Some went underground using old tunnels. Others climbed to high places. A few even ran straight toward the enemy. "Suicide tactics," scoffed Counselor Zephyra. "Desperate and foolish." But Vextar watched the council members' faces as the battle continued. The human tactics that looked like chaos began to work. The Dominion forces, who had been winning easily, suddenly found themselves confused and surrounded. The humans were everywhere and nowhere. They attacked from directions that should have been impossible. "How did they get behind us?" one Dominion warrior shouted in the video before a human soldier appeared from a hiding spot and disabled him. Within 1 hour, the humans had turned a losing battle into a victory. They captured most of the Dominion force and secured the area. But what worried Vextar most was what happened next. As the battle ended, the human soldiers began checking on their enemies. They gave medical aid to wounded Dominion warriors. They treated prisoners with respect, but Vextar had seen their faces during the fighting. There had been something in their eyes, not fear or anger, but a cold calculation. They enjoyed the challenge. "The humans won through luck and desperation," said Counselor Bracketh. "Nothing more." Vextar shook his head. "I stayed to observe them for 3 more days. They did not celebrate their victory. Instead, they studied everything. They examined Dominion weapons and armor. They talked about what they could have done better. They turned every mistake into a lesson." He paused and looked around the room. But most disturbing of all, they seemed disappointed that the battle was over. As if they had been enjoying themselves. The council chamber fell quiet for a moment. Then Counselor Zephyra spoke again. "Commander Vextar, we understand you have been under great stress from the recent conflicts with the Dominion. Perhaps you should take some rest time." "I'm not imagining this." Vextar's voice rose. "I have fought in 47 battles across 12 systems. I know what warriors look like. These humans are not just soldiers. They are something else entirely." He activated another recording. This one showed human children playing games in a park on Earth. Look at their young ones. See how they play. The video showed human children running around chasing each other, playing games with rules and strategies. Some games involved teams competing against each other. Others were about solving problems or overcoming obstacles. They train for conflict from birth, Vextar explained. But they call it fun. Their entertainment involves watching others compete and fight. Their stories are full of battles and heroes who never give up. Their entire culture celebrates overcoming impossible odds. Counselor Yathara tilted her head thoughtfully. Many species have competitive games. Not like this, Vextar insisted. I studied their history. They have been fighting wars constantly for thousands of years, against nature, against each other, against disease, against starvation. They never had peace like we did. Every generation faced some new threat or challenge. He brought up more data on the screen. Look at their technology development. Every major advancement came from solving problems or preparing for conflicts. Their medicine improved by treating battle wounds. Their transportation grew from moving armies. Even their space program began as a way to build better weapons. The council members looked at the information but seemed unimpressed. Their own species had developed technology through peaceful research and cooperation. The idea that conflict could drive advancement seemed primitive to them. Commander, said Counselor Zafara in a gentle voice, we appreciate your report. But this species is barely capable of interstellar travel. They have no energy weapons, no advanced shields, no quantum computers. Their fastest ships would take years to reach the nearest system. How could they possibly threaten anyone? Vextar felt his heart sink. They were not listening. They could not see what he saw. Because they adapt. Because they never give up. Because they turn every disadvantage into an advantage. I watched them take Dominion weapons and figure out how to use them within minutes. They learned Dominion tactics during the battle and created counters on the spot. The vote will be taken now, announced the council speaker. All in favor of classifying the human species as a minor threat level 2? 16 hands, claws, and tentacles raised in agreement. Only Vextar did not vote. The motion passes. Earth and its humans will be monitored through standard observation protocols. This session is closed. As the council members filed out, talking about other matters, Vextar remained standing in the empty chamber. He looked at the screen, still showing images of human children playing their games, learning to compete, learning to fight, learning to never give up. You have made a terrible mistake, he whispered to the empty room. When they come, and they will come, remember that I warned you. 6 months passed since Vextar's warning to the Galactic Council. The Council had almost forgotten about the humans on the small planet called Earth. They had bigger problems to worry about. Trade disputes, border conflicts, and the growing threat of Dominion raids. But Earth had not forgotten about them. Admiral Kang De-ho stood in the command center of Seoul Space Defense Headquarters, looking at the large screens showing space around Earth. For 20 years, humanity had been listening to alien radio signals. They knew about the galaxy beyond their solar system. They knew about the Council, the trade routes, and the wars. Most importantly, they knew someone was coming. Admiral, called out Lieutenant Park from her station. We're receiving the transmission again. The same message in multiple languages. Kang nodded. The alien message had been broadcasting for 3 days. It was simple. Greetings from the Galactic Council. We wish to meet with the leaders of Earth for peaceful first contact. Any response from the other nations? Kang asked. China and America have agreed to the joint response plan. The Europeans are on board. Russia wants to send their own ship, but they'll follow our lead. Kang smiled slightly. It had taken humanity years to agree on a first contact protocol, but the threat of alien contact had finally forced the world's governments to work together. Sort of. Send the reply message, Kang ordered. Tell them we accept their invitation to meet. Far above Earth, the Council's diplomatic fleet waited in position. Admiral Nethkor of the Altarian Navy commanded 12 ships, more than enough to deal with any primitive species that might cause trouble. Sir, reported his communications officer, the humans have responded. They agree to meet at the coordinates we provided. Good, Nethkor said. His species looked like tall, thin humans with blue skin and no hair. How long until their primitive ships arrive? Unknown, sir. Their technology is very basic. It might take them days or weeks to reach the meeting point. But 3 hours later, a human ship appeared at the exact coordinates. It materialized out of what looked like empty space, moving faster than the Council's sensors could track. How did they do that? Asked the communications officer. Stealth technology, Nethkor realized. They were already here, waiting and watching us. The human ship was smaller than any Council vessel, but it moved with precision that impressed the alien observers. Captain Lee Hyo-jin guided her ship, the KDF Hangang, into position near the Council fleet. Council fleet. This is Captain Lee of Earth Defense Force. We are ready for the diplomatic meeting. Admiral Nethkor was surprised by how quickly the humans had responded and how professional they sounded. Most primitive species were either terrified or overly excited during first contact. These humans seemed calm and prepared. Welcome, Captain Lee. Please dock with our diplomatic vessel. We have many things to discuss. The first meeting took place in the Council's diplomatic suite. Captain Lee arrived with a small team, including Commander Park So-young as military advisor and Dr. Kim Tae-min as science officer. Admiral Nethkor had expected to meet primitive beings who would be amazed by alien technology. Instead, he met humans who seemed curious but not surprised. They asked good questions and took careful notes. Your technology is impressive, Captain Lee said as they toured the Council ship. We would very much like to learn from your advanced civilization. Dr. Kim examined the ship's computers and power systems with interest. Fascinating energy conversion methods. Much more efficient than our current systems. Commander Park remained quiet during most of the tour, but Nethkor noticed her eyes. She was studying everything: the ship's layout, the locations of weapons and shields, the number of crew members. She observed like a soldier preparing for battle. Tell us about your military capabilities, Nethkor asked during the formal discussions. It was standard procedure to assess new species for potential threats, Commander Park answered honestly. Earth has many different military forces. We have weapons that can destroy cities, ships that can travel between planets, and soldiers trained for various types of combat. But compared to your technology, we are still learning. Nethkor was satisfied. The humans admitted their limitations and seemed eager to join the galactic community peacefully. Their weapons were primitive chemical explosives and simple energy devices. Their fastest ships needed weeks to travel between nearby planets. They posed no threat to anyone. We would like to show you something from our culture, Captain Lee said. She activated a small device that projected images in the air. The Council representatives watched scenes from Earth. They saw human cities, art, music, and daily life. The images showed a species that valued cooperation and peace. There were scenes of humans helping each other during natural disasters, working together on large projects, and celebrating various achievements. Your species seems very social, observed Nethkor. You work well together. We have learned that cooperation makes us stronger, Captain Lee agreed, but mixed in with the peaceful scenes were other images that puzzled the Council representatives. They saw humans competing in various sports, running races, fighting matches, team games where groups tried to defeat each other. They watched movies about wars and adventures where heroes overcame impossible odds. Why do you enjoy watching conflict? Asked Nethkor. Dr. Kim answered carefully. We find stories about overcoming challenges to be inspiring. They teach us about courage and determination. The Council representatives found this strange but not alarming. Many species had unusual entertainment preferences. What they did not see were the images Captain Lee chose not to show them. Hidden in Earth's data files were records of every war, every battle, every tactical innovation humanity had ever developed. There were detailed studies of alien technology gathered from intercepted communications. There were battle plans for defending Earth against invasion and strategies for fighting in space. Most importantly, there were psychological profiles of every known alien species, including detailed analyses of their weaknesses and blind spots. We have a proposal, Nethkor said as the meeting continued. Earth would benefit from joining the galactic community, but your technology needs improvement first. We offer you protectorate status. Council forces will defend your system while you slowly integrate into our civilization. Captain Lee looked thoughtful. That is very generous. We would welcome the protection of such advanced beings. Commander Park nodded in agreement, but inside she was calculating. The Council was offering to place armed ships throughout the solar system. They thought they were protecting humanity, but they were actually giving humans the perfect opportunity to study alien military technology up close. There is one thing, Captain Lee added. Some of our military leaders are concerned about security. Would it be possible for small numbers of our soldiers to serve alongside Council forces? We want to learn proper galactic military procedures. Nethcor saw no harm in this request. Human soldiers with their primitive weapons could not threaten Council forces. Having them around might even be useful for handling tasks that required interaction with human civilians. That can be arranged, he agreed. The negotiations continued for 2 days. The Council representatives were impressed by human diplomacy and intelligence. The humans asked smart questions, offered reasonable compromises, and seemed genuinely grateful for Council assistance. What the aliens did not realize was that every question had been carefully chosen to gather specific information. Every compromise had been calculated to give humanity maximum advantage. Every expression of gratitude hid careful observation and analysis. When the meetings ended, both sides felt satisfied. The Council believed they had found another peaceful species eager to join galactic civilization. The humans believed they had successfully convinced the aliens that Earth posed no threat, while gaining access to advanced technology and military intelligence. Admiral Nethcor filed his report with the Council. First contact with humans successful. Species shows high intelligence and strong cooperative instincts. Military technology primitive but adequate for self-defense. Recommend proceeding with standard integration protocols. No security concerns identified. Captain Lee returned to Earth with a different report for her superiors. Council military capabilities assessed. Weaknesses identified in shield systems and tactical doctrine. Alien psychology profiles updated with direct observation data. Recommend proceeding with long-term strategic plan. Phase 2 ready for implementation. As the Council fleet took positions throughout the solar system, human observers watched and learned. Every alien ship was studied. Every weapon system was analyzed. Every communication was intercepted and decoded. The Council thought they were protecting a primitive species that would take centuries to become a real part of galactic civilization. They had no idea that they were teaching the most dangerous species in the galaxy everything they needed to know about advanced warfare. In his private quarters aboard the Council flagship, Admiral Nethcor reviewed the files on Earth one more time. Something about the humans still puzzled him. They were clearly intelligent and peaceful, but there was something in their eyes. The same look he had seen in the most dangerous warriors he had ever fought. He dismissed the thought. Humans were. The mining colony on Kepler 442b was supposed to be safe. It was deep in Council territory, protected by regular patrols and automated defense systems. The planet had valuable minerals that both humans and aliens needed for their technology. Major Kim Jun-ho walked through the mining tunnels, checking on his soldiers. 200 human troops were stationed at the colony as part of the new cooperation agreement with the Council. They were supposed to be learning galactic military procedures while helping to guard the mining operation. Any word from the patrol ships? Kim asked Sergeant Choi Min-seo. Nothing yet, sir. They should have reported in an hour ago, Kim frowned. The Council patrol ships were always on time with their reports. Something was wrong. Above them in the colony's main communications center, Lieutenant Han Soo-bin was trying to contact the patrol fleet. Her screen showed only static. All communication with the outside galaxy had been cut off. Sir, she called down to Major Kim through the intercom. We've lost all contact with Council command. Something is jamming our signals. Kim felt his stomach tighten. In his experience, communication jamming meant only one thing. Someone was preparing to attack. All units, this is Major Kim. Battle stations immediately. This is not a drill. The human soldiers moved quickly to their positions. They had trained for this moment even though everyone hoped it would never come. Within minutes, the colony's defenses were activated and the soldiers were ready. But they were not ready for what appeared on their scanners. 50 Dominion warships dropped out of hyperspace around the planet. Each ship carried 60 trained warriors, 3,000 of the galaxy's most feared fighters. They had come to capture the mining colony and send a message to the Council about Dominion's strength. The colony's automated defenses fired at the incoming ships, but the Dominion had superior technology. Their shields absorbed the energy blasts while their weapons destroyed the defense platforms one by one. Major Kim, came a voice over the communication system. It spoke in heavily accented galactic standard. This is War Leader Krexthon of the Dominion Battle Fleet. Surrender the colony and your deaths will be quick. Kim looked around the command center at his officers. Lieutenant Han was checking weapon systems. Sergeant Choi was organizing defensive positions. All of them looked scared but determined. This is Major Kim of the Earth Defense Force, he replied. We decline your offer. Krexthon's laughter echoed through the speakers. Humans, I have heard of your species. You are the new pets of the Council. Very well. We will enjoy testing ourselves against fresh prey. The first wave of Dominion troops landed at the colony's main entrance. They expected to face standard Council defensive tactics, energy barriers, automated weapons, and troops fighting from fixed positions. Instead, they found something completely different. The humans had turned the entire mining colony into a maze. Using mining equipment, they had blocked some tunnels and opened others. They had moved supplies and equipment to create choke points and hiding places. The colony that had been designed for efficient mining was now a fortress built for guerrilla warfare. Where are they? Growled a Dominion warrior as his squad advanced through a tunnel that should have led to the main habitat area. Instead, they found themselves in a dead end filled with mining explosives. Sergeant Choi pressed the detonator from her hiding place 50 meters away. The explosion brought down the tunnel roof, trapping half the squad and eliminating the other half. This was not how battles were supposed to work. Galactic warfare followed established rules. Armies met on battlefields. The stronger force won through superior numbers or technology. Soldiers fought with honor and accepted defeat when it became inevitable. Humans, it seemed, had never learned these rules. Lieutenant Han led a small team through the mining tunnels that connected different parts of the colony. They appeared behind Dominion forces, attacked quickly, and disappeared before the enemy could respond. Her soldiers used mining tools as weapons. Plasma cutters became swords, drilling equipment became shields, transport vehicles became mobile weapons platforms. Report, Krexthon demanded from his command ship. How many humans have you eliminated? Unknown, War Leader, came the response. They do not fight like any species we have encountered. They are everywhere and nowhere. When we attack one position, they appear somewhere else. When we defend against their attacks, they vanish. Major Kim studied the battle reports from his command center. The Dominion had superior numbers, better weapons, and advanced armor. By every military calculation, his small force should have been overwhelmed within the first hour. But calculations did not account for human adaptability. Choi, he said into his communicator, take your squad through Tunnel System 7. There's a group of Dominion warriors trying to reach the power station. Stop them. Yes, sir, how? Use your imagination. That was the key difference between human and galactic military thinking. Council forces followed detailed procedures and established tactics. They did what their training told them to do. Humans did whatever worked. Sergeant Choi found the Dominion squad exactly where Major Kim had predicted. But instead of attacking them directly, she had her soldiers flood the tunnel with mining gas, a harmless vapor used to detect air leaks. The gas was not dangerous, but it made visibility almost zero. The Dominion warriors, unable to see their targets, began firing blindly. Their energy weapons lit up the gas cloud but could not penetrate it effectively, while they wasted ammunition shooting at shadows. Choi's soldiers used mining equipment to collapse the tunnel walls around them. When the gas cleared, the entire Dominion squad was buried under tons of rock. The battle continued for 3 days. The humans never fought the same way twice. They used every piece of equipment in the colony as a weapon. They turned every room into a potential trap. They made the Dominion forces afraid to advance through any corridor or enter any building. Most disturbing of all, the humans seemed to be enjoying themselves. Did you see that? Corporal Park whispered to his squadmate as they watched Lieutenant Han's team eliminate another group of Dominion warriors. She's smiling, it was true. Despite being outnumbered 15-1, despite facing enemies with superior technology, despite the constant danger, many of the human soldiers seemed energized by the combat. They were solving problems, overcoming challenges, and protecting their comrades. For humans, this was not just duty, it was what they were born to do. On the second day, the Dominion tried a different approach. Instead of sending small groups through the tunnels, they gathered their remaining forces for one massive assault on the colony's central hub. 800 Dominion warriors advanced together, their weapons covering every possible hiding place. They moved slowly and carefully, checking for traps and ambush points. They found none. Where are the humans? War leader Crexton demanded. His sensors showed no human soldiers in the central area. It appeared the colony had been abandoned. The answer came when the Dominion force reached the center of the hub. The floor beneath them was not solid rock as it appeared. The humans had spent 2 days using mining equipment to hollow out a massive chamber underneath the main building. When 800 heavily armed warriors stood on the false floor, Major Kim gave the signal. The entire central hub collapsed downward into the chamber. The Dominion forces found themselves trapped in a pit 30 meters deep, with human soldiers positioned around the rim above them. "Surrender," Major Kim called down to them. "Your weapons cannot reach us from there, and we control your only exit." War leader Crexton stared up at the humans in disbelief. In 3 days of fighting, his force of 3,000 had been reduced to fewer than 800. They had not captured a single human alive, and they still controlled less than half the colony. "This is impossible," he muttered. "They are primitives. They have inferior technology. How are they winning?" The answer was simple, but Crexton would never understand it. Humans did not fight to win according to established rules. They fought to survive, to protect others, and to solve the problem in front of them. They adapted constantly, learned from every mistake, and never gave up. When the Council relief fleet finally arrived, they found something that shocked them. The Dominion forces were in full retreat, fleeing back to their ships as fast as they could go. The mining colony was still under human control. Captain Ryu Taiwan of the Council fleet could not believe the reports. 200 soldiers held off 3,000 Dominion warriors? Major Kim met with the Council officers after the battle. His uniform was torn and dirty, but his eyes were bright with satisfaction. "We had some advantages they didn't expect." "What advantages?" Captain Ryu asked. "Your weapons are inferior to theirs. Your numbers were much smaller," Kim smiled. "We know how to fight dirty. We know how to use everything around us as a weapon. And we know how to think differently than our enemies expect." The Council officers studied the battlefield reports with growing amazement. The humans had not just defended the colony, they had turned it into a weapon itself. Every tunnel, every building, every piece of equipment had been used to fight the enemy. "How did you know they would attack the central hub?" Captain Ryu asked. "We didn't," Kim admitted. "We prepared for dozens of different possibilities. When they chose that one, we were ready." That was the moment Captain Ryu began to understay. The news of the Kepler 442b defeat spread through the Dominion Empire like poison. For the first time in their history, Dominion forces had been beaten by a supposedly inferior species. The shame burned in every warrior's heart, and their leaders demanded revenge. Supreme War Master Thekvar called a gathering of all Dominion battle leaders. The great war hall on their homeworld filled with thousands of the most dangerous warriors in the galaxy. Their black armor gleamed under the red lights, and their weapons hummed with barely contained energy. "The humans have made us look weak," Thekvar growled, his voice carrying across the silent hall. "Every species in the galaxy now thinks the mighty Dominion can be defeated by primitive animals with mining tools." The assembled warriors roared their anger. They had built their reputation on being unbeatable in combat. Now that reputation was damaged and only human blood could restore it. "We will show the galaxy what happens when someone dares to humiliate the Dominion," Thekvar continued. "Every human world will burn. Every human ship will be destroyed. Every human soldier will die screaming our names." The Dominion war fleet that assembled was the largest in their history. 500 ships carrying 50,000 warriors. They brought their newest weapons, their strongest shields, and their most experienced commanders. This time there would be no mistakes. But the Dominion was not the only side preparing for war. In the Galactic Council chambers, emergency meetings had been running for days. The Kepler incident had changed everything. For the first time, Council territory had been successfully defended not by Council forces, but by their newest members. "The strategic implications are enormous," General Song Hiram explained to the assembled Council representatives. She was the highest-ranking human military officer, and her calm voice carried weight that surprised many aliens. "What do you mean?" asked Counselor Zafara. She still found it hard to believe that humans could contribute significantly to galactic defense. General Song activated a holographic display showing the galaxy's military situation. Red markers showed Dominion territory and forces. Blue markers showed Council worlds and fleets. The red was expanding rapidly while the blue was retreating. The Dominion has been winning because they fight aggressively while we fight defensively, Song explained. Your military doctrine is based on protecting what you have. Theirs is based on taking what they want. She highlighted several recent battles. In each case, Council forces had withdrawn to defensive positions when attacked. They followed proper military procedures, minimized casualties, and waited for reinforcements. Unfortunately, this gave the Dominion time to consolidate their gains and prepare for the next attack. What do you suggest? Asked Admiral Nethkor. Let us fight, Song said simply. The council chamber fell silent. Many representatives looked uncomfortable with the idea. Humans were new to galactic civilization. Their technology was primitive. How could they possibly help against the Dominion's advanced military? With respect, General Song, said Councillor Bracketh, human forces number only in the thousands. The Dominion has millions of warriors. Your weapons cannot match their energy output. Your ships are slower than theirs. Song smiled slightly. Numbers and technology are not everything in war. May I show you what humans can really do? She activated another display, this one showing detailed files on human military capabilities. The council representatives had seen some of this information during first contact, but Song was now revealing data that had been carefully hidden. Our ships may be slower, but they are harder to detect, Song explained. We have been developing stealth technology for decades. Your sensors can barely track our vessels when we do not want to be found. The display showed human ships moving through space like ghosts, invisible to standard detection methods. Our weapons may have lower energy output, but they are more flexible, Song continued. We do not rely on single-purpose devices. Every tool can become a weapon when necessary. Images showed human soldiers using mining equipment, construction tools, and even cooking devices as combat weapons during the Kepler battle. Most importantly, our soldiers think differently than yours or theirs, Song said. We do not follow standard procedures. We adapt, improvise, and overcome. Councillor Yathara studied the information with her large scientific eyes. These capabilities are impressive, but can they really make a difference against such overwhelming numbers? Let me demonstrate, Song said. The Dominion is planning to attack the Vega system next. We know this because we intercepted their communications 3 days ago. Instead of withdrawing Council forces as usual, let us meet them there with a combined fleet. Absolutely not, said Admiral Nethkor. Vega is too important to risk in an experimental battle. If we lose those shipyards, our fleet construction capability will be cut in half. If we keep retreating, we will lose everything anyway, Song replied. Give us a chance to prove what human tactics can accomplish. The debate continued for hours. Finally, a compromise was reached. A small combined fleet would engage the Dominion at a less critical system, Proxima Centauri. If human tactics proved effective, larger operations could be considered. Colonel Nam Gite commanded the first Joint Human Council battle group. His flagship was still a human design, but it had been upgraded with Council technology. The result was a ship that looked primitive but packed surprising capabilities. All units, this is Colonel Nam, he broadcast as the Dominion fleet approached. Remember, we are not here to fight fair. We are here to win. The Dominion commander, War Leader Vashkri, expected the usual Council defensive formation. Council ships would form a line, engage at maximum range, and withdraw if overwhelmed. It was predictable and easy to counter. Instead, the human-led fleet did something that confused every tactical computer in the Dominion fleet. They split into dozens of small groups and scattered in all directions. What are they doing? Vashkri demanded. Are they retreating? No, War Leader, reported his tactical officer. They appear to be surrounding us. This made no sense. The Dominion had more ships and heavier weapons. Being surrounded should not matter when you had overwhelming firepower. But as the battle developed, Vashkri began to understand the human strategy. The small human groups were not trying to match Dominion firepower. Instead, they attacked weak points, supply ships, communication relays, and isolated vessels that had moved too far from the main fleet. Each attack was brief and precise. Before the Dominion could respond, the humans had disappeared back into space. Major Ojiwan led one of these attack groups. Her 3 ships were equipped with experimental stealth systems that made them nearly invisible. They approached a Dominion supply convoy, destroyed 2 ships with concentrated fire, and vanished before the escort vessels could lock onto them. "This is impossible," muttered the Dominion escort commander. "Ships cannot simply disappear, but human ships could do exactly that." Years of hiding from alien detection had taught humanity how to become invisible when necessary. The Dominion had never faced an enemy that could attack and vanish so effectively. The battle continued for 6 hours. By traditional measures, the Dominion should have won easily. They had more ships, bigger weapons, and stronger shields. But victory in battle is not always determined by raw power. The human tactics were wearing down Dominion forces through constant harassment. Supply ships could not deliver fuel and ammunition. Communication between battle groups was disrupted by attacks on relay vessels. Morale dropped as Dominion warriors realized their enemies could strike anywhere at any time. "War leader," reported Vashkri's second-in-command, "we have lost 30% of our support vessels. Our main battle fleet is still intact, but without supplies." "I know," Vashkri growled. He was beginning to understand why the humans at Kepler 442b had been so difficult to defeat. They did not fight by any rules he recognized. The turning point came when Colonel Nam revealed the true purpose of his scattered formation. While the Dominion had been focused on defending against small attacks, the human groups had been slowly moving into position around the enemy fleet. "All units, this is Nam. Execute pattern Delta 7. Suddenly, every human ship attacked at once from every direction. The Dominion fleet, which had been spread out to defend against harassment attacks, found itself unable to concentrate its firepower effectively. Human ships appeared from their hiding places, struck hard at selected targets, and disappeared again before return fire could reach them. In 30 minutes of coordinated assault, the human forces destroyed or crippled half the Dominion fleet. The remainder fled back to Dominion space, their commanders filing reports that would be difficult for their superiors to believe. "Impossible," Supreme War Master Thekvar said when he read Vashkri's report. "You outnumbered them 3-1. "Yes, War Master. But they did not fight like any species we know. They appeared and disappeared like ghosts. They attacked our weakest points while avoiding our strongest. They turned our own tactics against us." Similar reports came from other battle sites as human-led forces engaged Dominion fleets throughout the sector. Each battle followed the same pattern: humans avoiding direct confrontation while systematically dismantling enemy capabilities. The galaxy. The war that was supposed to last decades ended in 18 months. The Dominion Empire, which had conquered half the galaxy through superior firepower and ruthless tactics, found itself pushed back to its home system by an enemy they had once dismissed as primitive. Admiral Yu Chan-wook stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the tactical display showing Dominion space. Somewhere in that red zone was Kethmaran, the Dominion homeworld. Intelligence reports said it was defended by their most powerful fleet and protected by weapons that could destroy entire planets. "Admiral," called out his communications officer, Lieutenant Kim Yu-jin, "all fleet commanders report ready for the final operation." Yu nodded slowly. The combined Human Council fleet was the largest military force ever assembled. 3,000 ships from dozens of species, all under human command. It was a responsibility that would have terrified him 2 years ago. Now it seemed natural. "Signal all commanders," he ordered. "Operation Homecoming begins in 1 hour." The plan for invading Kethmaran was unlike anything attempted in galactic military history. Instead of the traditional approach, massive fleet battle followed by planetary invasion, the humans had developed something completely different. Captain Kim Yu-jin led the first phase. Her stealth ships had been scouting the Dominion homeworld for months, mapping defenses and studying enemy movements. What she had discovered would make the invasion possible. "The Dominion have built their entire defense around preventing a fleet battle," she explained to the assembled commanders via secure communication. "They have orbital weapons platforms, minefields, and patrol fleets positioned to destroy any attacking force. How do we get past all that?" asked Captain Ryu of the Council forces. Kim smiled. "We don't fight their defenses. We go around them." The Dominion had made the same mistake many species made when facing humans. They prepared for the kind of war they understood. They expected massive fleets engaging in direct combat. They built defenses designed to stop conventional military attacks. Humans, as usual, had no intention of fighting conventionally. Phase 1 began with what appeared to be a standard fleet assault. Admiral Yu's main force approached Kethmoran from the most obvious direction, broadcasting challenges and demands for surrender. The Dominion fleet moved to intercept, confident in their defensive advantage. But while the Dominion focused on the approaching fleet, Captain Kim's stealth ships were already at work throughout their system. Small teams of human soldiers had been infiltrating Dominion installations for weeks, not to destroy them but to understand them. "Target acquired," whispered Sergeant Park from inside a Dominion communication relay station. He and his team had spent 3 days studying the alien communication systems. Now they understood how Dominion forces coordinated their defenses. "All teams execute Phase 2, came Kim's order. Across the Kethmoran system, human infiltration teams began their real mission. They did not destroy Dominion installations, instead they took control of them. Communication relays began broadcasting false orders. Supply computers started redirecting resources to the wrong locations. Defense platforms received updated targeting data that would make them fire at empty space. The Dominion fleet moved to engage Admiral Yu's approaching forces, but their coordination was falling apart. Ships received conflicting orders. Supply convoys went to the wrong locations. Defense platforms prepared to fire at targets that did not exist. "What is happening?" demanded Supreme War Master Thekvar from his command center on Kethmoran. "Why are our communications failing?" "Unknown, War Master," replied his communications chief. "All systems appear to be functioning normally, but the data makes no sense." The truth was that human computer specialists had spent months learning Dominion software systems. They had not broken the enemy codes. They had learned to speak the enemy's language so well that they could give false orders that appeared completely legitimate. Admiral Yu watched the chaos developing in the Dominion fleet and began Phase 3. "All units, execute Thunder Run." The human fleet suddenly accelerated past light speed, not toward the main Dominion force but around it. Using navigation data provided by the infiltration teams, they bypassed the carefully prepared defense zones and appeared directly above Kethmoran itself. The Dominion homeworld was protected by the most powerful weapons in their arsenal, orbital defense platforms that could destroy entire fleets. But those platforms were controlled by the same computer systems that Captain Kim's teams had compromised. "Orbital defenses are not responding," reported the platform commander. "We are receiving firing solutions, but they target empty space." "Override the computers," ordered Thekvar. "Fire manually," but it was too late. The human fleet was already in position, and they were not preparing for orbital bombardment as the Dominion expected. Instead, Admiral Yu began the most complex military operation in human history. Thousands of small transport ships launched from the fleet, carrying not invasion forces but something far more dangerous: information. "Citizens of Kethmoran," came a broadcast in perfect Dominion language. "This is Admiral Yu Chan Wook of the Human Defense Forces. We are not here to destroy your world. We are here to offer you the truth." The broadcast was transmitted on every communication frequency, displayed on every screen, and heard through every audio device on the planet. The Dominion government tried to jam the signals, but human computer specialists had taken control of their own communication networks. What the people of Kethmoran heard was a detailed account of the war from the perspective of those who had fought it. They learned about unprovoked Dominion attacks on peaceful colonies. They saw footage of Dominion forces destroying civilian targets. They heard testimony from their own soldiers about orders to kill non-combatants. Most importantly, they learned that their government had been lying to them about the war's progress. While official reports claimed victory after victory, the truth was that Dominion forces were being defeated across the galaxy. "This is enemy propaganda," Thekvar announced to his people. "Do not believe their lies," but the humans had prepared for this response. Captain Kim's infiltration teams had gathered months of evidence from Dominion databases. They broadcast the government's own files, showing the real casualty reports, the actual battle outcomes, and the desperate orders from military commanders begging for reinforcements. The effect on Dominion society was immediate and devastating. A population that had supported the war because they believed they were winning suddenly learned they were losing. Citizens who had accepted military rule because it brought victory discovered their leaders had been lying about everything. Protests began in major cities. Military units received conflicting orders as some commanders remained loyal, while others questioned their orders. Supply lines broke down as civilian workers refused to support a war effort they no longer believed in. "War Master," reported his intelligence chief. "We have lost control of 17 cities. Military production has stopped in 40% of our facilities. Fleet commanders are requesting permission to withdraw from forward positions." Thekvar stared at the reports in disbelief. The human fleet had not fired a single shot at his planet, but his empire was collapsing around him. "How is this possible?" he demanded. The answer came from an unexpected source. Commander Vextar, the council officer who had first warned about humanity, requested permission to address the Dominion leadership directly. "War Master Thekvar," Vextar said over the communication channel, "I tried to warn my own government about humans 2 years ago. They would not listen, just as you would not listen to your commanders who reported strange human tactics." "What are you talking about?" Thekvar growled. "Humans do not fight wars the way we understand them," Vextar explained. "They do not seek to destroy their enemies. They seek to understand them. Once they understand you, they can predict your actions, exploit your weaknesses, and turn your own strength against you." Vextar's image appeared on screens throughout the Dominion Command Center. The scarred veteran looked directly at Thekvar with eyes that had seen too much combat. "Your military focused on building bigger weapons and training fiercer warriors," Vextar continued. "Humans focused on understanding how your society works, how your government functions, and what your people really want. They realized that your population would stop supporting the war if they knew the truth about it. The truth is that we are the strongest military force in the galaxy," Thekvar insisted. "No," Vextar replied. "The truth is that strength means nothing if your own people will not follow you. Humans understood something we never learned. The most powerful weapon is not a gun or a bomb, it is information." As if to prove his point, new broadcasts began appearing across Kethmoran. These showed not human propaganda but messages from Dominion soldiers who had been captured during the war. The prisoners were healthy, well-treated, and eager to explain what they had learned about the conflict. "I thought we were fighting to protect our empire," said one captured Dominion officer. "But the humans showed me battle records from our own databases. We were the aggressors. We attacked first. Everything we were told about defending ourselves was a lie." More testimonials followed. Dominion prisoners describing human medical care for wounded enemies. Dominion civilians from conquered world